Hey, hey, y'all. I am so excited for the growth of Say It Loud. We are growing and growing fast, just like we're saying it and saying it loud. It is Karen L., and I'm just stopping by to let you know all the amazing things that are going on. Number one, you can visit us on our website at www.sayithloud.com for everything Say It Loud. Learn a little bit about me, a little bit about the brand, a little bit about the company. We are also on Patreon, where our subscribers and listeners can now become members, where you'll get access to more content, more backstage snippets, more video, our YouTube channel, merch, and so much more. So you really want to say it and say it loud? Become a member of the Say It crew on Patreon. Not to mention, we are now offering advertisement. That's right. Your brand, salon, name, or whatever it is that you want to promote can be advertised here on Say It Loud. All you have to do is visit us on our website, www.sayithloud.com. Alrighties, I can't wait. Hey lovies, it's Karen L. A few weeks ago, when I was dropping my snippets, I did a quick snippet about healthy boundaries. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. I don't have a guest, it's just me and you guys. Sorry. Because I feel like there's so much to talk about, but I don't know who feels the same way, who doesn't feel the same way. And so I wasn't really sure how to express that with someone else. So that's why I don't actually have someone today talking with me about healthy boundaries. I'm just talking to you. So I hope that you enjoy and that you listen and that you take something from it. And again, this is just me sharing because let me tell you, I was yesterday years old when I learned about healthy boundaries. Now, I was a grown-ass fucking woman. But pretty recently and I'm 41 years old, did I realize what healthy boundaries were? Did I start investigating and doing research about what healthy boundaries are? Like, I did not know that growing up. I did not know that in my 20s. I did not know that in my 30s. I did not know how to say no to certain things. I didn't know how to create those healthy boundaries or realize that the boundaries in my life were being kind of stepped on and twiddled with and pushed over. I don't even, looking at myself, I don't even think I created them for myself. I just kind of let what happened happen, and the things that pulled me in, I let it pull me in, and I would get in my car and I would bitch about it and I would cry and I wouldn't want to do it, but I would still do it because I felt obligated to do it, right? And there was times where those certain boundaries that I didn't create for myself started encroaching on my life. And it wasn't until I got to the point where one day I was like, no, I don't want to do this. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't sit with my soul. I don't agree with it. That I realized, no, I need to start having some healthy boundaries and saying, no, I don't want to do this. This is unacceptable. I don't agree with this. No, I'm not coming. Why not? Because I don't feel like it. Because I don't want to. Because I'm not interested. Because I think we're in a society right now, or in my life, I don't know about anybody else, where people automatically feel a sense of obligation if they ask you to do something. Or if you're in a certain space, it's kind of like, aren't you going to help? Aren't you going to do this? Aren't you going to do that? You know what I mean? Aren't you going to, whatever it is, right? So we tend to get pulled into certain situations in our lives for whatever reason, and we don't realize that infringes on our boundaries, whether we created those boundaries or not. And it wasn't until I didn't have boundaries and I realized that I didn't have boundaries, and I realized that these were things that I don't like feeling, that I was like, wait a minute, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to let somebody make me feel obligated. I'm not going to feel pulled. I'm not going to feel like yesterday I was at work and they're like, we having a meeting on Wednesday after school. And I was like, well, I'm going to just put my notes in the slides. I'm not staying, because, but the expectation is, well, I said we have a meeting, we all having a meeting. If not, it's mandatory, then why do I have to go? But that sense of obligation used to be there for me, whereas that sense of obligation is no longer there. There's certain boundaries, right? And boundaries could look like a lot of different things. I think that's another thing that people don't understand. Like even with your mama, right? And I love my mom to death, but there's certain things that I'm like, yo, mom, like this don't sit right with me, and I don't want to go. Or I don't want to be there. That's not something I want to do. And it's okay to have it. Doesn't mean I love you any less. I don't want to do that. And and I think we don't think about boundaries as being healthy, because on the flip side of it, people tend to be like, well, why are you standoffish, or why are you not coming, or why do you not want to be a part of this? Well, this could be a multitude of reasons, none of which really matter, as long as I say to you that I don't want to do it, or I don't feel comfortable, or I'm not happy with this, or this is not something I believe in, or I have something else to do. And healthy boundaries isn't just about you're managing your time. I think that's another thing. It's not, oh, well, my friend's moving, I don't want to help them to move. I got to have a healthy boundary. No, healthy boundaries are emotional as well. If, in fact, to me, I think the emotional part of it is worse than the physical part of it, right? You spend 2 hours doing something and help someone you love. It's not a big deal. It's really not that big of a deal. But emotionally, to feel in a situation with a person, any person, where you're constantly feeling like, yo, we need to have some motherfucking boundaries between us, and putting those people in their little spaces and put that little circle around them, like the movie the kids watch where they put sadness in the little circle and it's like, don't fucking touch nothing, like that, and saying, okay, this relationship needs a boundary, right? It needs to have some kind of circle around it, because this is as far as I want to go with this. This is, I feel like I've put boundaries on a lot of different relationships in my life recently. Some people might be listening and take this the wrong way. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't love you. I love everybody. I really do. It's just that there's certain relationships that need certain boundaries, depending on who the person is and what their impact in your life is. If somebody is always in your life bringing you drama, bringing you down, making you feel bad, stressing you the fuck out, then you can't get rid of certain people, understood? But then they need a motherfucking boundary. Like, I could only handle you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on work hours. Don't fucking hit me up on Sunday morning when I'm meditating. Don't hit me up on Saturday night when I'm with my peeps having a good time. Don't hit me up on Thursday night when my man come over. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that relationship needs a particular boundary. That might be what that boundary looks like. There might be other boundaries with your friends. There's some friends that you love them very much, but every time you fucks with them, there's drama and they're just negative energy, or they got man problems all the time. It's just that, right? That you might say, okay, well, I can only handle you Saturday night when we having a drink. But that's it. That's your boundary. There might even be boundaries with your own kids. Like, yo, like, bro, I gave you $40 for the week. Make that motherfucking shit last. I'm not giving you no more money. Boundary. And it's okay. I think for a long time, I thought that I had to put other people's feelings and other people's needs ahead of mine. And so I've been very sacrificial in my life. And that's okay, because sometimes that's what we call to do. But once I started to realize that, like, I don't like how this feels, and once I became conscious, because that's what it was, you could go through your whole entire life like that. But once I started becoming conscious of what it was making me feel, and how I was in spaces and places and conversations that I didn't want to be in, then I had to start saying to myself, okay, I gotta pump the brakes. This shit need a motherfucking boundary. Karen, you gotta have some motherfucking boundaries in your life. Like, this shit is overwhelming. Certain conversations, I'll be the first person to tell you. Now, 10 years ago, you would have the conversation with me and I would like pussyfoot around it. Okay, maybe 15 years ago. Now there's certain conversations, I'm just gonna hang up the fucking phone. I'm just gonna hang up I'm not talking to you about it. I'm not talking to you about it. And you're not entitled to talk to me about it. I don't want to share it with you. I talk about this all the time when people ask me about my ex-husband. He's my ex-husband. The fuck you want? Why are you asking me? I don't fucking know. I don't want to know. He lives his life. I live my life. My siblings, I love them very much. Everybody knows that. But there's certain parts of their life that's private, and it's their parts of their life. I don't fucking know. And even if I did know, what makes you think you should come ask me about them? Boundaries. And I'm very protective of my space. Everybody knows that about me. I'm very protective of my space, my things, my space, the people that I love. I protect them with everything. And part of protecting them with everything is having certain boundaries, not to have certain conversations. On the flip side of things, there are also people that kind of tend to push their way into your boundaries. So we're not talking about this, but now they're asking questions. You gotta ask any of my girlfriends and they'll tell you. They tell me something and I'll say, okay, that's great. Or that's nice. Or I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not prying in people's lives. They want to share it with you, they will share it. When they're ready to share it. If they choose to share it with you. And if they don't want to, that's fine too. It doesn't mean they love you less or they don't trust you any less. It means that it's a part of their life and they get to share it how they want to share it. Entitlement is not a real thing. It's not a real thing. Well, not in my life, it's not a real thing. Don't fucking feel entitled to shit. Don't feel entitled. I've seen people be like, I don't want to be friends with her anymore because she doesn't tell me what's going on in her life. She doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. They don't have to. And on a relationship level, I have found that my friends whose relationships I would choose to emulate in my life and who I feel have healthier relationships, they do not talk shit about their relationships. Not to me, at least. And so they tend to have healthier relationships. So I feel like if you're, I don't know, I mean, this is going off to another path, but I do feel that women and men who kind of tend to bring their dirt outside and put it outside tend to have more problems in their relationship than them dealing with it on a personal level between the two. And so the relationship, in my recent years since I've been woke, the relationships that I see where people actually have that respect for each other and are not sitting around talking about their spouse or bashing their spouse to their friends tend to have healthier, longer lasting, loving relationships. That's just what I've seen personally. There's a we're in a society where we think based on TV and based on books and based on drama, especially in minority communities, where if we beat up our partner, and I don't mean physically beat them up, emotionally and verbally beat them up to the people around them, that makes for better TV, that makes for better relationships, that makes for healthier marriages, that makes for healthier unions and co-parenting situations. And the reality is it doesn't. But that's a whole nother show. But that's okay. That's okay if somebody tells you, like, I don't want to talk about this right now. That's okay. Or I don't want to share something that's beautiful that's happening in my life because I just want to keep it to myself. That's okay. That's okay. Everybody is not entitled to all of you all the time. And there are parts of me, personally, I don't know about y'all, and I'm not telling y'all to live like me. I'm just sharing. There are parts of me that I don't want to just share with every and anybody. And as I'm getting older, to be totally honest with you, it's getting worse. Because now I'm at a point in my life where I'm just making my moves. I'm not sharing with nobody. I'm not mapping them out with nobody. I'm not running and telling people what I'm doing. I'm just motherfucking doing it. Because when shit is fucked up, ain't nobody around asking me, hey, if shit is fucked up. So we need to think about the boundaries that we have in our life and how those boundaries tend to make us feel. You know, I was out one night at a party and I went to show my face because I had to be there, right? I had to be there. Y'all know if y'all invite me, I'm coming. But I can't tell you, I'm not the one to be out till 6 a.m, then let's go to Dykeman and eat breakfast. No, I'm not that one. I mean, once in a blue, but I'm not that one. Like, I'm out, you got me a couple hours, and they got a full-time job, couple kids, you know, some plants, a garden and shit. Like, I want to go home, right? And I was ready to cut out. I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm here. We're going to cut cake after all that shit. I'll take a few flicks, and I'm out. And everybody's like, where you going? Like, you can't leave. And I'm like, bro, I love y'all. This is not my thing. This is not my thing. Y'all know this. This is not my thing. I'm driving. I'm not getting faded. I'm not doing any of that stuff. This is not my thing. I don't want to be here anymore. I love y'all. I came. It was a nice, good time. I seen everybody. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug. Take a few flicks. Eat some cake. And I'm out. It's not to make anybody feel bad. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings. It's not to say I'm not rocking with you. Like, I love you. If you call me tomorrow and you're like, yo, I need a ride to go drop my car, pick it up, drop my kid, I'm there. But this not really my thing. I don't want to be in a bar till 7 o'clock in the morning. Not my thing. Especially when I work today. Not my thing. And people will get offended about that. Don't be offended. Understand that there has to be certain boundaries in certain situations. And it doesn't change your friendship. It doesn't change your family. It doesn't change your loved ones. It doesn't change that you have a voice. It just means that this is my boundary. This is what I'm doing. Now, what you do is entirely up to you. And those are physical boundaries. I'm at this place, like I said, where I'm more into the emotional boundaries. Like, there are certain people that will call me and I'll be looking at the phone like, yo, not right now. And I won't even be doing shit. I'll just be like, not right now. Because I know so I'm an empath, right? And so when people come, they tend to project how they're feeling. And that's okay. Most days I can take that. But there is times in my life or in my space or whatever it is that I'm doing that I can't take that on. I can't take that on. I can't take your bullshit right now. I can't take it. I don't want to. And you have to understand, and y'all know I'm a teacher, right? We're all energy. So when someone calls you up and they with their fuckery, and then you ever get on the phone with someone and before you got on the phone, you got I say this all the time, you got a little hop in your step and you moving and you diddy bopping and you chilling, and then you get off the phone with them and it's like your heart sank. That shit either went to your stomach or went to your throat, but they fucked you up. Because whatever they were feeling, they now dumped it on you. They transferred that energy on you into your space. It ain't even your motherfucking problem. And I know we sympathize, but still. And so there's times where you have to say, like, I can't take this on right now. I've been calling my friends lately, and when shit go down, I don't really call that many people, I'm lying, but I have 2 or 3 friends that when shit hits the fan, I do call them, and I trust them, and I love them, and they're there for me. And I say to them, like, can you talk? I need you right now. This and this is going on. You know what I mean? Because sometimes just because we need to share or we need to vent doesn't mean the person on the other end is ready to take that on or in their own emotional space to be able to take that on. You gotta think about that. Now, when it's my kids, yeah, 110%. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I'll man the fuck up. I'll pull over. I'll take a deep breath. I'll cry. Whatever the fuck I gotta do. My kids 110%. They're not in. There's no boundaries. Call me when you need me, and I will always answer the phone. But there are certain people in my life, not once in a while, because there's some people once in a while shit go down. Yeah, it's just this nigga cheating. This girl lost a baby. Well, shit, fucked up shit do happen. But I'm talking about the people who constantly are just bringing that, fuckery, just bringing that negative energy, just fucking you up. And you got to have a boundary with them. You got to have a boundary and be like, yo, nigga, this is your space. This is your space in my life. This is your line. Keep your ass on that side of the fucking line. I'm sorry. That's where I'm at with people. That's where I'm at. I love mom and dad to death. But there's days where mom start with her shit and shit. I'm finna head out. I'm a whole SpongeBob Instagram. I'm finna head out. And it's not that I don't love you. Healthy boundaries. I'm not gonna argue with you about shit in your house. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. That's another thing. People fight about feelings. There's 3 things I don't argue about. And I'm sure now I'm dropping knowledge. There's 3 things I don't argue about. I don't argue about feelings. They're subjective. You cannot tell somebody how to feel. You cannot. You can empathize, you can sympathize, you can understand where they're coming from, but you cannot tell somebody how you think they should feel. You can't do that. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. If a woman is in pain and she's giving birth and her pain tolerance is different from a pain tolerance of another woman, you can't tell neither one of those women it didn't hurt. You can't say that. You could say, well, when I was at 4 centimeters, it felt like this. When I was at 10 centimeters, I felt like my experience was different from yours. But you cannot tell another person how to feel. It is a feeling. It is internalized. They're allowed to feel it. You don't have to agree with it. Those are your feelings. They're subjective. I have to hear it. I have to understand it. But I can't make somebody feel something else. Like, you shouldn't feel like that. I shouldn't, but I do. You disrespected me. No, I didn't. But that's how I feel. You can't argue. You can't argue how somebody feels. You can't argue that. Let them have it. Understand it. Accept it. Whatever the fuck it is. Right or wrong, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't discuss religion because I feel like, again, it's subjective. And it is what it is. People believe what they believe. They have a right to believe what they want to believe. I can discuss it with you. I can argue my points with you. But at the end of the day, I can't make you believe anything. And I don't discuss politics because personally, I feel like the whole shit is bullshit. And this is where we are. So, I'll lose a lot of friends if I say the things that I really feel like I need to say in regards to politics. Those are the three things. So you need to understand when you're having a conversation with someone that you can negotiate, you can debate, you can have healthy, rich conversation, but you can't force anybody to be or say or do anything that you want them to do or you think that they owe you to do. And there has to be boundaries. And a lot of times we think about, and I feel like people have an easier time putting boundaries on their friends and their work relationships than they do their more intimate relationships with their children and their family and their partners. But to tell you the truth, that to me is where most of the boundary work needs to be. Because the people at work already know they have a boundary with you. They're not stepping on your boundaries. They're going to ask you once in a while, I don't know, pick up some tissue, bring in a cake, shit like that. They already know they have boundaries. And you have to also understand, how you allow people to treat you is how they're going to treat you. So if you don't like the boundary that you have with someone, you got to also understand, well, how am I going to hold my ground in this particular case? For me, sometimes it's hanging up the motherfucking phone, or I don't want to talk about it, or I'll crack a joke and say something snide. I sure will. I'm very sarcastic. I think it's a smart people trait. Because you can't be dumb and understand my jokes. But sometimes you have to be like that. And you gotta let people know, like, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this with you. This is your motherfucking boundary. This is where you stay. You don't want to stay there, then we're not talking. And if that means that your relationship changes, then so be it. Clearly, if there's a boundary there was already some, the people in my life that I'm comfortable with, they can push my boundaries. They can ask deeper questions because we're having those kinds of conversations. I'm sharing them I'm sharing my life with them. But there's also people in my life that be asking me fucking questions and I'm not sharing shit with you. And now you pushing a boundary and I'm not going to talk to you about this. Point blank, period, full stop. And I think we need to talk about why, as a society, as a people, we don't start talking about healthy boundaries from the time that children are young. Because why does it take you to have these experiences that are negative, to be in these places that don't feel good, to have your heart broken, to have your expectations let down, to have arguments, to feel uncomfortable in certain situations, for us to realize that this is something that we need to teach. And so now with my own kids, I give them I don't give them boundaries. They have given me boundaries, and I respect their boundaries. So I'm going to talk about that after this commercial. Hold on. We'll be right back. How did I bring my dreams alive? Why, with a Anchor podcast, of course. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor does the hard work and distributes your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money with your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to Anchor FM to get started. So who in your life do you need boundaries with? Because that's the next thing, right? So now we've established kind of, right? I just told you my point of view, but I hope that you're taking just the bits that you need from this and then putting it into use for your own life, right? But then you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, what are the situations I've been in that I don't like? And how did I feel in those situations? Because that's what I did. I would be in these situations and at the time I wouldn't notice anything about it, you know? And then, like I said, the more I got woke, the more I started realizing who I am and assessing my body and what I was feeling after I walked away from people and that tension in my stomach, or if I was holding on to something like, yo, why they asked me this, or why are we talking about that? Or, you know, or if I felt something. So I really became in tune with my feelings. I really became in tune with my feelings and about the situations where I put myself in. And then looking at like, okay, Karen, why did you walk away feeling like that? And what can you do next time to make it different? And so those are some of the things that I thought about. And then I thought about the people, right? Because I was like, okay, well, what are the situations like? Who are these people in your life that make you feel this way, or ask you these questions, or put you on the spot, or whatever the case may be, that makes you feel uncomfortable, where you feel you need to have a boundary? And once I started doing that work, I was able to say, okay, you know, and I didn't sit down with a piece of paper or nothing, because I didn't have to. It was more of just like me advocating for myself, right? So this is not, healthy boundaries is not saying, well, I only fuck with you here, and I only fuck with you here, and I don't really like you, so I'm not going to fuck with you like that. That's not what healthy boundaries are. And if that's the way you're looking at what I'm saying to you, then I've explained it all wrong. Healthy boundaries are you, me, or you listening, assessing yourself and saying, okay, these are the situations, these are the people, these are the opportunities or lack thereof that make me feel like I need to have a boundary. And assessing them, realizing who you are in that space, realizing the people who are in that space with you, or the situations in that space with you, and then saying, okay, how can I not feel like this again? What can I do to make the change? And then making the change. So healthy boundaries is not about, okay, fuck you, you're dead to me, fuck you, we not doing this. That's not what healthy boundaries is. It's not about taking care of everybody outside, because then you put yourself back in the same healthy boundary situation that we started talking about in the beginning. Healthy boundaries is saying to yourself, what am I gonna do to manage what I'm feeling, to manage what I'm thinking, to manage the situations that I'm in, that I don't like the way they make me feel, or I don't want to be in them again, or this was uncomfortable for me, or whatever the case may be. And in some cases, yes, you might have to say, you know, I'm not fucking with this person no more. Every time I fucks with them, this is how I feel. This is what happens. This is what's coming into my life. I need to create a healthy boundary for myself. And so, yes, I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. I'm just saying that the goal here is to not, you know, curse everybody out and say, fuck off, fuck you. The goal here is to create healthy boundaries for yourself. And be true and honest with yourself. You know, there's times that people have, you know, if I don't have invited me places, if I don't believe in what's happening, if I don't believe in what you're doing, if I don't agree with what you're doing, and I really don't ride with it, then I might not want to be in that space with you. Not because I don't love you, that's your thing. I just don't 100% buy into that. You understand? And so we might have to have a healthy boundary, because morally I might not necessarily agree with what you're doing. I'm not going to fight you about it. I'm not going to argue with you about it. It's your life. I respect your life. It's a decision that you want to make, or whatever the case may be. But I personally don't want to be in that space. That's my boundary. So it's not just about giving somebody else a boundary in your life. It's about you having your own boundaries. Because then you can't get upset with someone and say, well, they forced you to do something, or you felt compelled to do something, or you felt pressured to do something. If you're honest with yourself, because that's where my boundaries came from. My boundaries didn't come from anyone doing anything to me. They weren't doing anything to me. My boundaries came from, I don't like the way I feel in this situation. I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to, nah. For me personally, or walking away from something and like me holding on to it and going, why do I feel like this? Why am I still bringing this? Why is this still in my head? Why am I not okay with this? And that's when I was like, okay, now I need healthy boundaries. So this is more internal work than it is external work. This is more you looking at yourself and saying, all right, you know, where am I? And have I set any healthy boundaries for myself in my life? And again, it's not to make anybody else feel bad, even though people tend to. It's so that you're protecting yourself and who you are and the value system maybe you have, the moral system maybe you have. Maybe it just be your whole fucking sleep system. I don't know. But creating that, because it's important, and not just creating it, like I said, with the relationships, with your friendships and your partner, but also creating that with the people you love. Just because you love someone don't mean that you can't have a boundary with them. Both of my kids, I love them dearly. My two younger kids have bad tempers. I don't like their temper. And when they get mad, I gotta leave them alone. They have created a boundary, both of them. And when they're mad, I have to leave them alone. They don't like when they're upset and I'm constantly like, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? Are you okay? They don't like when I keep going. They need that time to like cool down and reflect and get their head together and bring it down on their own. Because when you keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them, their temper just gets worse and worse. And so they've created a boundary. And I know it. And I understand it and I respect it. So when, my son gets mad for something and he goes in the closet and shut the door for a few minutes, I leave him there because that's what he needs. And I understand that. There's times when my daughter will call me and she'll just be like, yo, mom, I'm stressed. She'll vent. I'll be like, you want to talk about it? And she'll be like, no. She wants me to hear. She doesn't want me to say anything. And I understand that. That's her venting. That's her boundary. Go ahead and call me. But she doesn't want to hear my feedback right now. She just wants to get it off. And that's her boundary. And I had to learn to understand that. Sometimes people need that. Sometimes people need you and they don't need anything from you. They just need you. You have to understand that. I don't need you to talk back to me. I don't need you to solve my problem. I don't need you to fix it. I don't need you to clarify, go roundabout. I don't need you to even be mad with me. I just need you to listen. And we have to understand that. Because, the mom in me is like, how do we fix this? Let me get up. I'm going to go do this. I'll call the school. I'll talk to them. But sometimes it's not all that. Somebody's in a relationship. They call you for relationship advice. 9 times out of 10, they already know what they want to do. They're just calling because they need somebody to talk to. And honestly, if it's my homegirls, I'm just going to listen. They can choose what they want. You want to be with him, be with him. You don't want to be with him, as long as they're happy and they're not getting beat on, I don't care. But you got to understand that people need that. And that's their boundary. And then there's people like me who don't say shit. I'll say it to you on a podcast, but my personal life is very, 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 very personal to me. And I don't say nothing to nobody. And that's just how I am. And fortunately for the people that love me, fortunately for me, the people that love me understand that and accept that about me, so they don't ask me any questions. That's just me. I've always been like that. And it's not something that I learned or somebody taught me. It's just who I've always been. I've just always been the type of person like I don't really have nothing to say when it comes to that part of my life. And, like people don't make me feel like I have to be obligated to share with them. And so those are the people that I keep around because I don't want to feel like my personal life is an obligation to somebody else. Now, not everybody's like that. Some people, I've had friends that come, the next day. Like, they was like, I was at this dude's house last night with this. And that's fine. And I listen. You have a good time? Yeah. Like, you gonna see him again? Yeah, that's fine. And that's what those people need. They want to share. Let them share. And then there's people that don't want to share. And that's fine too. But we need to understand what those boundaries are. Those people that are sharing with somebody that they trust and that they're comfortable with. Not everybody's entitled to that. And so we need to understand what that means to us and what that means to our children, what that means to the relationships that we have in our life, what that means to our futures, and then how we internalize it. Because a lot of the things that we feel emotionally I really believe this. I think a lot of the things that we feel emotionally take a physical toll on us, right? So you ever be nervous when you, okay, so now I'm gonna get real deep, but I can't do this all day. So everybody knows we have chakras, right? Your chakras are your energies. And we have a number of chakras that we carry. Different people carry different things in different chakras. A lot of people didn't know that, but it's true, right? So certain people get nervous and it's in your stomach. Guess what? There's a stomach chakra. Some people get scared and they get chest pain. That's your chest chakra. Some people get, scared also and they feel it in their throat. That's a throat chakra. So you carry your nervousness, your fear, whatever your case may be some people get migraine headaches not knowing that, yes, your third eye and your sacral chakra are up there. And so that is how you internalize some things. And you might not know that, but go do your research, right? So when your chakras are not aligned, this means that your body's not aligned and then your auras and your energies are all not aligned together. But people carry different things in different chakras in different places. We're all different people. But I really think that if science broke it down, those people that carry their nerves in their stomach tend to have stomach problems because that energy is now being stored there. And so they tend to have, irritable bowel syndrome. They tend to have stomach problems. I'm throwing up. I'm nauseous. I'm nervous. That's where you're carrying that. And so over time, if you're constantly carrying feelings like that in that area, then you're breaking down yourself in that area. Same thing for the people that you talk about, like, yo, I'm stressed out. I got a migraine fucking headache. You are carrying that stress in your head. You're carrying it in your sacral chakra. And then it creates ongoing problems because you're constantly carrying that tension there. And so you're like, well, what does that have to do with healthy boundaries? If what you are feeling and internalizing is taking a physical toll on your body, then you need to turn around and you need to look at yourself and say, okay, what am I going to do? Because this is a part of my health and wellness. And so when I'm gonna cut soon, because this is a lot. When I started this podcast, I did not want to be exclusive to any particular genre because I felt that the human being, the human that I am talking to, the people like me, the half ratchet, half refined, because we've evolved, cannot be put in just one bucket where we're talking about relationships, where we're talking about health and wellness, where we're talking about healthy boundaries, where we're talking about our kids and millennials. We are all encompassing. And so everything that we do and we say we do and we're living day to day all comes back to our wholeness. And so the relationships that you have, your healthy boundaries, your education, how you were brought up, the relationships with your family, the experiences that you have day to day build the character of the person who you are. So I could sit here and just talk about money, or I could just sit here and talk about relationships. I could just sit here and talk about the kids. I could just sit here and talk about work. But at the end of the day, we are all encompassing. We are made up of our experiences. And I don't want to limit that to say, okay, now we're going to talk about healthy boundaries, but we can't talk about the aspect of our health and wellness in that. Or we can't talk about the relationships that we have in that, because the reality, or the job, because some people be stressed out at work. That's part of your healthy boundaries. You not knowing when to cut off I got an email last night. I swear to God, I got an email last night from work. I had like 3 emails last night and a WhatsApp message from work last night. And I was like, I'm not responding. It's 9:30 at night. I was in bed, twiddling with my microphone and recording because I work on Say It Loud in my time because it's mine. And I was like, nah, bro, healthy boundaries. Like, I work for you from 8:40 in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not answering the phone at 9:30 at night. I'm not responding to emails at 9:30. And I've had people get mad at me about this. Well, she doesn't respond to her emails on Saturday. No, nigga, Saturday for Chuck E. Cheese and my son. That's for my granddaughter. Sundays are for me to go to my mom and dad's house. You can't have that. You don't pay me for that. You can't have that. And that's a healthy boundary that I have set. I was in the lunchroom at work with someone and I started a conversation about something, and the lady was like, Karen, I don't mean to stop you, but not right now. This is my lunch. I need to turn my brain off. I said, understood. Understood. So healthy boundaries isn't just about, the intimate relationships. It's also about work. It's also about social media. When Kobe died the other day, I was like, I got to get off this. I'm an empath. I'm taking this all on. I'm seeing all these pictures. I felt some type of way. I was like, I'm done. I have to put the phone down. In my house, I seldom watch the news. It's bad news. It's 59 minutes of bad news. I don't know who the fuck want to watch that. Especially when you have a 10-year-old and then he asking questions about shit that I can't really fucking answer. I don't know. Healthy boundaries. There has to be a time and a place where you let in what you want to let in and you let out what you want to let out. And we have the power to sift through the things that we want to let in. And we have the power to say, okay, I can't take this right now, or maybe I'll have to get myself mentally prepared for this. We're in a generation where there's constantly information flowing at you. Even me right now, sharing this with you. And you got to take from it what you need to take from it. And then you got to throw back the parts that are not for you. And I understand that and I respect that. Not everything I say is going to be for you. You might be thinking about it like, damn, I need to share this with somebody else because I'm good, but I know somebody else who's not good. And that's okay. That's okay to do. Because the idea that we have so much information doesn't mean that we need to embody it all. It means that we need to pick and choose. And that's the same thing with your healthy boundaries. You are just picking and choosing when and what gets in. And you're managing the shit that's coming your way. Think about it as that Mortal Kombat move where where he be putting his arm up and down, he be blocking shit. Think about it like that. You just blocking certain energies in certain spaces that's coming in, especially if it's taking an emotional toll on you. Especially if you're walking away tired, especially if you're walking away drained, especially if you're walking away feeling some kind of way where you're angry or hurt or whatever, and it's constant, right? Because shit happens in life. We got to deal with that. I'm talking about this is constant. I'm constantly now when I worked in sales and my phone rang on Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday morning, I answered it because I knew, even though it took away from my family time, I knew that was money on the phone. So I answered the phone because for me that was my priority. That's okay too. Prioritize what's important to you. I've now gotten older and I'm in a different space in my life, so I don't necessarily chase the money the way that I used to. So, and I work a salary job. So when you work a commission job, if your phone rings at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, yes, you answer the phone because that's your money and it's commission and you need to make your bread. I work a salary job right now. So whether I answer your email Saturday at 9 o'clock or I answer your email on Monday morning, nothing really changes. And so I have to prioritize my personal life now for me as I've gotten older. My family time, my sense of peace has become so much more important to my life that I keep very, 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 very tight boundaries around it. I keep very, very tight boundaries, and it's fucked up because some people probably don't like me for it. But the reality is I'm not in any drama. I don't argue with no one. I don't fight with no one. I don't got no beef with no one. I respect my children and their boundaries, and I understand what they need. I've been able to take time to reflect. I love my parents. I respect their boundaries, and I take time to reflect on what they're thinking. I empathize when they talk to me. I'm able to be so much more present and happy as a person, as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, as a goddess, as your favorite podcaster and your favorite MILF, because I have created this little whirlwind of an island that I live on, not an isolated island, where I'm controlling the temperature. And it's a cool 86 degrees on the beach. And I love it here. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that it gives you some insight into your own reflection and into your own life and in your own healthy boundaries and in your own quest to gauge the temperature on your little island and your little space where you are. Because at the end of the day, we all supposed to be happy and our skin is the only one we got. So I'll talk to you soon, lovies. If you don't follow me on Instagram. I am Karen L. I am KARYNELLE. I'm on Twitter. I am Karen L. Saith Loud on Instagram. Saith Loud on Twitter. You can go to www.saithloud.com. You can book me there for events. You can reach out to me through email. You can see a little bit of my work on photography and video. You can download the podcast there. We're going to get some merch up there for you soon. All I'm asking for you to do is to share. Well, I do want you to do Patreon if you love it, but for this particular episode, I want you to share. If you felt like there was something in here that was useful to you, I want you to share it with somebody else. I want to get these numbers up. I want to be, number one in your area, number one on your podcast, number one on your streams, number one on your downloads. And I want you to be able to share this with somebody else that you feel could benefit from it. Because what's the use of having all this information if we can't share it with each other? All right, lovies. I'll see you next week. Bless. I hope that wasn't too deep. It's not too deep, right? I got y'all. But sometimes it be like that. Anyway, thank you for listening to another episode of Say It Loud with Karen L. It's always my pleasure to hang out and spend time with you. For all things Say It Loud, visit our website at www.sayitloud.com. If you'd like to advertise with us, visit our website at www.sayitloud.com and click on the Say It To Me tab where you can ask your questions directly to me. If you'd like to find me on social media, we are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Say It Loud, and I am Karen L. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, feel free to go to our website, click on the Patreon tab, take a look around at the different tiers available, and join. You don't want to miss this. I can't wait to give you all the behind-the-scenes details.